Hey, hey, Melanie. I almost called you Lapisha. Hi, Melanie. Hi, Jisoo. Welcome, and welcome to everyone else who's joined in. Forever loving everything. Hello. All right, I'm going to do a little sharing. Please, little speaking. Please let me know if my volume is too low, or if you want to stay in silence, just mute me. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. My heart is so touched right now. There's 5 of us online, all around the world, receiving the energy of God together. Oh, little background noise. One moment. So I've gotten in the habit of reading a quote of Bruno's every morning and then thinking about it throughout the day. And today's quote was, "Beware of satanic people." I was a little shocked by that. I hadn't read that one before. So what on earth is a satanic person? Well, so I don't know. I have some guesses. I'm going to share my understanding, what Bruno meant by that. But first, it's very important to keep in mind what Bruno said. This is by memory, an exact quote. "The human being is and remains divine, never evil, never satanic." And yet he told us to be aware, to be wary, or beware of satanic people. So, um, so my understanding is that within each of us lives the divine. Literally lives something pure that's untaintable. Bruno Groening said that when we take in one negative thought, the soul shuts itself off because it won't take in any negativity. So even the most, and that's why Bruno said from a spiritual, and this is again a direct quote, but by memory, from a spiritual, that is why I'm always saying that from a spiritual point of view, there are no evil people or bad people. I forget which word. Only people with evil habits. So the soul remains pure in what Bruno taught. However, through associating with evil, through taking evil into the body, and as I think of it, then the evil sort of surrounds the divine soul or associates with it, then the person can then do evil. And in fact, Bruno said, uh, the human being never does evil. It's always the evil. Meaning, if you see someone doing evil, or if we ourselves do it, that means we've taken on, not taken in, but taken on evil, and it's literally grabbed hold of us, and we've lost free will, and we're compelled to do evil. So that's the background for Bruno's statement, "Beware of satanic people." What I understand that to mean is someone who is literally deeply covered over with evil, whose soul is deeply covered over with evil, and isn't striving for the good, certainly doesn't believe in God, uh, and has gone, you could say, gone down very far down the path away from God. So really someone whose behavior and whose way of being, way of life truly is evil. Um, I had the fortune and misfortune of getting involved with one such person through a business arrangement. This person was referred to me by someone I trusted, so I trusted them, and I was also naive at that point. I hadn't found Bruno's teaching yet, and what I can say is, and it's not my job to say, "Oh, that's a satanic person," or "Oh, that's someone who is, you know, thoroughly been covered over by evil." But what I can say is, is the most evil person I've ever uh, personally gotten to know. And I got to know him well. We were involved in business things for many, many years. Um, so, assuming I'm correct that person is the kind of person Bruno is talking about, um, just looking for the words to share my experience. I don't even know where to begin, except everything's a deception. Everything is a game based on trying to get what this person wants, regardless of regardless of what it costs other people or harming other people. And complete uh, lack of conscience, uh, willingness to say anything and not mean it. Um, really, just it's almost like not really a person because they don't have empathy. They don't really have a conscience, or the conscience is buried. The empathy is buried. So much deception, um, and it really is. I trust that underneath this person is just as divine as myself or anyone else, and um, and just webs within webs of deception and games and manipulation. And sometimes this person would just talk on and on and on and repeat same things and say different things and say things that were confusing. And when I realized, consciously or unconsciously, the person was really trying to hypnotize me. Not in the sense of you're getting very relaxed, but in the sense of really getting me off my center so that it would be easier to manipulate me. And it worked for a while until I realized what was going on. And so I share these things not to criticize that person, but to share my understanding of what Bruno Groening meant by satanic people and why he says beware of, because they're alluring, because such people will promise things, because such people are literally masters at deception, at appearing one way. And they're very good at reading people, very good at manipulating weaknesses. It's truly, if you recognize such a person in your life, it's really important to cut all contact. And in fact, that's what Bruno Groening advised. I'm going to paraphrase here, but Bruno Groening advised when you become aware that that such a person is like that, to literally say to them, um, "I can't have anything to do with you anymore until you're back on the good path." At first, I thought that was very like that's extreme. But the thing is this kind of person is on a is surrounded by evil, speaking evil, thinking evil, acting evil, and they're headed downwards into more evil. Nothing good can come of it, and worse, the game after game, to to keep you hooked in. So I wish I'd heeded Bruno's words much earlier to have cut contact. But I got enmeshed in some very complicated legal and business things, and I'm very grateful to be not 100%, but mostly unenmeshed. And I cut off contact, and I straight up said to the person, "You have a good heart, and your actions are evil and deceitful, and I won't have anything to do with you until you've made things right." And I set that boundary, and of course the games are continuing, but I'm not playing anymore, or the attempts to play games. So, so such a person will just drag you down, and and so I say all of this to not be preachy. I'm not perfect. I am not. I have my stuff, as they say. I'm not completely free of evil. It's not my job to condemn such a person, but it is my job to completely distance myself from such people, and of course, to work on myself, to free myself more and more from evil. So that's a lot. Let's chew on all that for a little bit. Let's digest it in the silence, continuing to take in this good energy. Thank everyone for joining in. Thanks for ever loving everything. I have been, and let's take a moment and do it, actually. I really appreciate the suggestion. So I'm not going to say, let's see, I'll give their initials R dot H. I have been tuning in for this person, and thank you for ever loving everything. Oh, evil persons. That's a good question. Mm. I thought you meant this particular one. It makes sense to me. Um, it really makes sense to me. There's this other thing about uh, not putting too much attention. One of the interesting things about Bruno's teaching, so far as in my point of view, is it's very important not to put too much emphasis or attention on evil, but also not to put too little. So I would just advise um, mindfulness when tuning in for someone who's really. I personally don't like the phrase satanic person. I wish Bruno hadn't used it, but he did, so I shared it. But I would say someone who's deeply immersed in evil. Um, so I would just invite people to be mindful of not. Um, well, I'll just share my own experiences. Such a person ropes you in to where you kind of become obsessed and in some ways addicted. That's not quite the word. So I would just invite mindfulness and caution. But I think it's a beautiful thing to tune in for everyone, especially someone who's very heavily burdened with evil. And yes, to keep in mind that people who are behaving in evil ways are burdened, heavily burdened with evil. Beautiful question, Forever. FLE. That's just my opinion, uh, or my understanding of what Bruno taught on this topic. What I personally do is I ask Bruno to bless such a person, and then I tune in for the situation. That helps me keep a little distance. And because here's the interesting thing. Once Bruno was giving a community hour, and someone's husband came. He normally didn't come to community hours. And once the community hour started, he started to be very agitated. So here's the answer to your question, FLE, Forever Loving Everything, is or an answer to ponder. So so this woman was a regular attendant at community hours, and this is when Bruno was in his body. And one time the woman's husband came. Now he normally didn't come and he wasn't really interested in such things. So once the community hour started, he started to get very agitated and he actually started to sweat and become very uncomfortable. And at a certain point, he left the room. And what Bruno said about this is that people who are not open to the good, open to the divine, that the energy is actually very uncomfortable for them, very uncomfortable. Um, in fact, uh, for those of you who know about Brazzo, I mean, this is a poignant story, actually. For those of you who know about Brazzo the Gazer, he basically just emanates divine energy. Primarily, he says it comes through his eyes. Um, so me and a friend were gazing with Brazzo, and asking for a miracle in this situation to help me extract myself from this situation with this person. So we got filled with all this good energy, and then I decided to call RH, this person, and I did. And right as RH came on the phone, the next session with Brazzo began. Now, people are welcome to their own opinions about Brazzo, and I have my own opinions, but he's doing good and he radiates a lot of good energy. That much I know, I'm convinced of. And so, right as RH picked up the phone, Brazzo came on and started, radiating his energy. And RH slammed down the phone. And I called back, and RH's secretary answered. And she said, I don't know what's going on, but he literally just ran out of the office. I'll have him call you back at another time. So let's think about this. So RH picks up the phone. Me and my friend are in a room. Brazzo starts his gazing. Right as that starts, RH and I call RH. RH picks up the phone. Like 1 second of that I consider pure divine energy. RH slams down the phone and runs out of his office. Not just out of his personal office, but he owns an office. He ran out of his personal room and then out of the office and fled from that energy. So, in answer to your question at Forever Loving Everything, I would advise just asking Bruno to bless them and maybe tune in for a second, maybe not. But based on my experience with RH and what Bruno shared about people who are not open to the good, and maybe that's the definition of a satanic person or a evil person, is someone who's just literally not open to the good and to whom the good feels uncomfortable. Welcome, Birdie. You're very welcome. And I wish everyone a beautiful, beautiful day. Great question, FLE. Forever loving everything. Forever loving. Miss everything. I wish everyone a beautiful, beautiful day. And please reflect on this. And some of what I'm sharing is just straight up Bruno's teachings, and some of it is my own experience and understanding. So your feedback and response is very welcome. Take care, dear ones. Mwah.